I am told that General Meade has gotten down off his horse on his statue and is on his way here, doubtless with a view toward chastising me in the time-honored fashion of the goggle-eyed snapping turtle. So if you hear me go ouch at any point, just look around behind me for a snapping turtle. For those of you, however, who are not snapping turtles, let's have some questions. John, right away in the beginning. He is indeed the last commander of the Army of the Potomac. Although Grant's initial instinct was to replace him. And to replace him with, of all people in the world, Baldy Smith. Well, that would have had an interesting twist on the overland campaign, now wouldn't it? The truth of the matter is, though, that although Grant kept Meade in place, he did so mostly out of the political perception that removing Meade was going to take a bad situation and make it worse, which it no doubt would have. Grant, coming as he did from the West, already had the hackles of people in the Eastern Army up, and to have decapitated the commander of the Army of the Potomac and take it over himself personally was probably the worst advice he could have hearkened to. On the other hand, what is true is that once the overland campaign jumps off, Grant treats Meade more and more like a fifth wheel, and Meade himself more and more complains about becoming a fifth wheel. Particularly, he was incensed that Grant would grant favored status to Phil Sheridan and Sheridan's judgment over the judgment of himself, George Meade. So Meade does, in fact, stay in titular command of the Army of the Potomac, but in terms of effective direction of operations, after several weeks of the overland campaign, that had clearly become the task taken up by Ulysses Grant. So he's there, but on the other hand, so is the figurehead of a ship. That doesn't mean the figurehead is in command of the ship. Yes?
It would seem that it would have been advantageous to Grant keeping Meade on, too, for administrative purposes. It saved him from having to do all the administrative and organizational duties of an Army commander. And he simply took over doing most of the operational ones.
Well, that was one of the rationales that Grant articulated, although Grant himself had never had much hesitation about lopping off branches he didn't particularly like. The most dramatic example being that of John McClernand during the campaign, the Vicksburg campaign. Whatever Grant's actual motivations for keeping Meade in this anomalous position were, certainly Meade was not in the slightest bit happy with it. And to read Meade's correspondence for the balance of the overland campaign is to read the correspondence of a very, very disappointed man indeed.